What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the part 2 of the Baycraft boat build. Today we're going to be dropping the lower unit, and I'm going to show you guys how to drop that. Then we pull the motor off, which is also going to be a separate video, but we're just going to be doing the transom, or we're just going to be doing the lower end. We're going to be taking it off. We're actually going to be selling that. We're going to be selling the motor. So basically I'm going to be taking little pieces here and there off of the motor. I have a guy that wants to buy the lower end, and I have a guy that wants to buy the complete motor here. So I'm gonna get this stuff all videoed, and we're gonna get this stuff sold so we can put into our project boat, which is our main goal, is to spend the least amount of money possible. So without further ado, let's start taking this thing apart, and I'm gonna show you guys how to do the lower unit. All right, so we have our Mercury Force 50. That is pretty much trash. There's a lot of good used parts on it, but the block is broken right here. So the first thing you want to do, which actually I did things a little bit different. I did pull a few parts off of it already to kind of get it ready to pull. The first thing you want to do is come over here, and you want to put this bad boy in neutral. So this thing is in neutral. How do you know if it's in neutral? You come down to the prop and you spin it. See, there's no resistance. So that is in neutral. The next thing you want to do is take off, there are two nuts. There's a nut here, which is a 9/16, and another nut here. I can get it to focus right there. So first thing, I already pulled some of the stuff off to make it easier. So this is your carburetor, you pull that off, and this is your oil injection solenoid, which is bolted, well, at least mine was bolted down here. It was just one bolt. It was actually kind of janky and it was barely on there. But so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold this stuff back here. So now that we got that, and obviously our starter is broken, but there's a bolt here and a bolt here, which they broke off. So this is, I'm just gonna lift the starter, and since this is a junk motor, it doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna let it hang. It's not really that big of a deal. Alrighty, so now that we got that stuff out of the way, right here is your shift shaft. Your shift shaft goes all the way to the other side. There's a 10 millimeter, I believe it's a 10 millimeter here. We'll come over to the other side of the motor. You have all of your, this is your shift linkages, and I think you're supposed to pull all those out, but I did not. There's a bolt here, come on, focus, and a bolt here, and there's also the shift shaft bolt down there. Now you may have to do this, but me being the mechanic that I am, I was able to get, so back in here, there's a little tiny pin that goes this way, and it has a cotter key, and I used a little pick. I used a pick like this. It's a 90-degree pick, and I went down in there, and I was able to pull the cotter key pin out, and then I was able to just push the pin out. Now, granted, I'm not going back with this because this is a parts motor, but therefore you pull that pin out, and I think with a pair of pliers that you should be able to push it back in there. So I don't think that you need to take out all this stuff together, which I'm a huge fan of shortcuts that don't need to be done to save you time and save you money. So now that we have all that stuff, obviously this stuff's all hanging out, I made myself a little rig, because like I said, this is a parts boat. I didn't know if anything worked. I have all this stuff kind of cobbled together. We have it hooked up to our battery. So now the next step would be to tilt the motor up so we could get to those lower bolts of the lower unit. So this thing actually works, which I didn't think worked. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna touch them on the posts that they should be touched. And let's tilt this motor up and see if we can't drop this lower unit. Perfect. All right. So now that we did that, we got it lifted up there. Now we're gonna come around here to this. Now there's supposed to be a fin in here, but I see that that's missing. There's supposed to be a bolt here, but there's a bolt in here. We get that taken out. There's a bolt here and a bolt here. And then there's another bolt here and another bolt right here. So we're gonna go ahead and figure out what size those are, and we're gonna go ahead and pull this out and see if we can't drop this lower unit. So let me see what size these things are, and let's start dropping the lower unit. I think that these are 5/8. So, all right, that's what this one is. We got a 5/8 on the corner here. Loosen these, and hopefully they just slip out. I actually have ratchet wrenches, I believe here. I do. The ratchet wrenches are so nice. Get these in there. Look at that. Now, when you're pulling a lower unit, you don't want to take all the, so what I'll do is I'll take the back ones out first. Those can come out all together. You don't have to worry about it. But these ones I would keep in. All right, so there's those bolts, those bolts. Now we're gonna come here, because this is in neutral. We're gonna see what size that is. I think that's also a 5/8 ratchet, 5/8 socket. It is. We have one more here. It's already starting to drop. All right, so you have your nut and your bolt. All right, so you see this gap here? There's a nice gap right in here. So you want to take these out slowly on each side. Here and here. We already got this front one on each side, and then we had our nut from here. So now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna pull these last two bolts, and we're gonna slide out the lower unit. You're gonna have to support it. Make sure it doesn't just drop out, but you can try to wiggle the bolts out with your hands when you get to that point. Okay. Kind of come down here and support it. Taking the last bolt out right now. Okay. Last bolt. Now just support it down here. Come down. Pulled it all the way out. Look at that. We got a lower unit. This is your shift shaft, and then you have your splines that go up into the motor. But yeah, here's the lower unit. All right, so that's a wrap to that video. We got the lower unit taken out of this thing, so it is halfway there. Basically, you would just do the same thing, just reverse to put everything back in. If I was putting a water pump in there, I would video that, but I'm not, since I'm just selling the whole thing. So I just want to show how to take it off and just do a short little video. Basically, it's just part of the process of every process that we go through with this boat. So I hope you like that. I hope maybe you learned something. There wasn't a lot of Mercury Force lower unit pulls on YouTube, so I figured I'd do a short little video while I was selling it. So I'll see you in the next video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. See you guys next time.